Bizarre Brain Comics. The Dark Librarian. Oh, hello, 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 my comic book fiends. Oh, and this is your good friend, the Dark Librarian. Oh, yes, oh, and this is the spooky season. Ah, yes. It's my favorite time of the year, isn't it always? Yeah. And I am here for Bizarre Brain Comics. And I'm here to tell you tales of terror. Oh, jeez. And here is my friend, Mr. Bones. It's his favorite time of the year, too. But he can't eat the candy. No, there's no place for it to go. Oh, and yes, but he is here helping me by holding the terror tome we're going to look at this time. Ooh, ooh, ooh. This is Journey into Mystery. #1 from 1972, Marvel Comics. Oh, and this is not the first time they had a Journey into Mystery #1. No! And it's not the last time they had a Journey into Mystery #1 either. Oh, no! But this is extra special because it's, a #1. A true terror tome that will make your toes tingle. And the lead story is by the great Robert E. Howard. Oh, yeah. So, got a hole in my teeth. So let's go take a look inside the pages of Journey into Mystery. #1. Oh, yes, we're back, my comic book fiends. And yes, as I said, Journey into Mystery, #1, 1972. Of course, it's from Marvel Comics. Okay, and the title, it's the title of a comic book series published by Atlas Marvel Comics. The first run of the title started with #1 in 1952 as a horror title. Then it changed to be a science fiction and giant monster stories. And with issue number 83, it became a superhero title with the Mighty Thor feature, and changed its title to the Mighty Thor with issue 126 in 1966. Then the revival of the title, that's this one, ran for a total of 19 issues from 72 to 75, again as a horror title, featuring new stories as well as some 50s reprint stories. And then I guess it's been revived twice since then in more recent years. So, and you got to admit, that is a great title, Journey into Mystery, horror mystery stories. So here we are. Journey into Mystery. It says, A Tale of Timeless Terror by Robert E. Howard, creator of Conan, Dig Me No Grave. Now, of course, that is the lead story. And this title and some of the other titles that came out that they brought out at that time were intended to feature news stories and adaptations of stories from some classic horror authors and or science fiction, depending on that. Well, some of them are both, and like Robert E. Howard, Robert Bloch, others I can't think of right now. and but they did several of them, but that usually lasted for just a few issues, and then it wound up going to all reprint stuff. Now the entire issue has 3 stories, has 3 new stories. Of course, the first one is adapted from the story by Robert E. Howard, and you might say, why is Robert E. Howard writing horror stories? Well, of course, Robert E. Howard is arguably the greatest pulp writer of the 20th century. As he wrote all kinds of stuff. He wrote action adventure. He wrote some mystery stories. He wrote westerns, historical action, and he did not completely create the sword and sorcery genre. He made it what it was, and what it was. He loved doing the historical adventure stories, and he loved the horror stories. He was a friend and correspondent with H.P. Lovecraft, who did all those really, really bizarre cosmic horror stories. And he wrote his own Lovecraftian stories as well, some in the Cthulhu mythos. And so they were fast friends. And when he combined the horror and the historical adventure, that made the sword and sorcery that we know and love. And of course, he is best known for Conan the Barbarian, which was actually the last of his big fantasy heroes, as well as Solomon Kane, King Cole, Brian McMorran, Cormac MacArt. But he had some bunch of horror stories, and the like. So now we're going to take a look here. This is a great and spooky Gill Kane cover, and he draws the story. And but the story is adapted by Roy Thomas, art by Gill Kane, and Tom Palmer doing the inks. Dig Me No Grave. This just assume it's in the early part of the 20th century. Man pounding on the door of his friend's house, and his friend is the one telling the story. And he gets in and said, "What's his name? Dead." And he tells him, "Old John Grimlin died an hour ago." I said, "John," and this older fellow here, Professor Conrad, he was basically the only friend of that dead man, Grimlin. And he said, "But I need your help," because he knew him. So to execute his last wishes, so they rush over to his home. He was an old. Basically, a terrible man. He was wealthy, very wealthy, but had no servants. No one could stand him. And he said, "I was just over there a short time ago, and we got in an argument." And then later, he describes how he was there when the old man died. It says, talking about the occult and magical practices and the like. And he said, "If you've seen the centuries pass as I have, so you think John Grivlin be old? Why, ye gaping lout, you'd fall dead were I to divulge the generations of men I've known." And at that point, horror overcame me, and I fled the house. It sounds like the ravings of a madman. So they get into the house, and then while they're going up, he describes how a little bit later he was there. He was back again, and the old man was raving in his bed, and says, "The envelope, destroy it! Don't ever." He said, "No," because he's got this envelope of something, and the old man had told him months before when he gave it to him, says, "Keep it, and don't keep it safe. Don't ever give it back to me, no matter what I say, because the time is coming for his death," and he died. Boom. So now he's got the thing, and he says, now he goes to a desk, gets the will. It says, "I, John Grimlin, do bequeath all my worldly possessions to the one known as Malaktos." What the? And says, "Malaktos, he's a he's the name of a foul, evil god thing from the ancient times. They rush into the room, and it's all set up. The body is under this cloak with candles set around. So something's odd here. I set up the candles. I didn't cover the body. I didn't light the candles. Then they hear a voice, and it is an unidentified older Asian man. He says, "Oh, I am here. The robe is mine, and we proceed with business pertaining to our mutual friend." And he's the one who lit the candles, and they take out the parchment, and they read it, and it says, and it's basically describing the contract he had with this demon god thing, and it was upon his death. And as he reads it, each candle goes out in turn, and how this is how he's being paid, paying off his debt to this god with his body and soul. And then suddenly the last ones go out, and poof, nothing there. They light a match. The body is gone. The candles are gone. The old Asian man is gone. And suddenly the house is on fire. And they bust out. The house is in flames and collapses down around them. And they look up into the billowing of clouds of smoke. And there is this gigantic, dark, bat-winged figure carrying off the corpse of John Grimlin. And said, and the long night was over. The dawn would come soon for some. Then our second one is just called House. Written by Steve Englehart, drawn by Ralph Reese. And when I first looked at this, I thought this was a reprint. And because it has kind of an older 50s style to the artwork. But then I looked closer, and then I looked in the guy and said, no, it wasn't, because at this time, at the time this was published, Ralph Reese was only about 23 in 72. And so this was also a new story. Guy lost out in the car broke down in the thunderstorm, sees a house, goes to the house, goes in, there's nobody there, nothing there, and he lays down to rest on empty house, no doors, no windows, to spend the night until the storm is past. He wakes up, everything's all wet and slimy, and what's this? The portcullis comes down by the door. The rug he was laying on starts flipping him around, sends him down a hallway, and suddenly, then he realizes the house is eating him. Oh, and he's swallowed. That's it. Then we finish up with You Show Me Your Dream, I'll Show You Mine. Written by Steve Skeets with early pencils by a young Jim Starlin and inks by a young Mike Plug. And this is before they made names for themselves. This is before Mike Plug did Werewolf by Night and Frankenstein Monster and the Ghost Rider, and before Jim Starlin did all of his Jim Starlin stuff with Captain Marvel, etc. But you can see the art style of each of them. This man keeps having these terrible dreams, and there's this woman appears in his dreams. It's beautifully, beautifully drawn, and looks like something right out of, like a nightmare, and it is a nightmare. It's nice having dreams, and something's going to happen to him, this vision of death. Jim Starlin has this thing of death a lot. Sees this lovely lady he's never seen before, and says she will be the angel of retribution, because he was a murderer, and he's having, not only because of these nightmares, but his conscience is bothering him too, because he, not too long before, he was hired as to make a hit on somebody, and that's what's been bothering him. And he's up trying to stay awake so he doesn't have the dream. Well, someplace else, there's this young lady, and she keeps having the same dream. And she doesn't know and doesn't understand it. So the fella, he goes to a bar, spend the night drinking away, so he'll be in such a stupor he won't be able to dream or stay awake. And then he goes out. He gets in his car, which he shouldn't be doing because he was drinking, and he's driving down the road. And the young girl, she's started sleepwalking, and she walks out into the street. Just as he sees her, recognizes her, loses control, smashes his car, and is killed. And she has no knowledge of anything that happened, and finally she sleeps without the nightmares. Oh, and that is Journey into Mystery, #1 by some great creators. And one of the really nice ones from the Bronze Age from Marvel Comics. So I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Do leave your comments down below. Tell the Dark Librarian your thoughts. Oh, let me know what you think of this or anything else. This book or anything else. And let me and do remember, comics or art.